The Diamondback Jack, this is the Purple Haze, and Diamondback Jack Purple Haze by Jack Wolf Knives has just become my new favorite gentleman style of folding knife. Now, I consider a gentleman style knife normally a knife that is a little bit easier to slip into a suit pocket, doesn't weigh down my trousers, you can pull it out in most scenarios and it doesn't look inappropriate, but it still can get jobs done because at the end of the day, a knife is a tool, and if I can have my tool on me most of the time, I will prefer that. But there are times when carrying a traditional knife just does not work. So here's the knife next to my TRM Neutron 2. Love this knife as well, but there are times, you pull this out and people know like, oh my gosh, he has a knife. This one is kind of like, oh, he has a knife that looks pretty good. And this is the locking version of the Venom Jack from Jack Wolf Knife. Jack Wolf, one thing I will say is this is my first knife from them, but this is not my first experience using one of their knife. I like what they're doing there. Let's just talk about some things out front that you have to think about if it's worth it for you. The pricing, $349. It can be expensive. It does have features which warrant that, but if you're looking for some of these features in a cheaper knife, they probably exist elsewhere. You can get the Appalachian Trail. You can get the Ohio River Jack. If you're just looking for S90V, a gentleman style knife, there are some cheaper versions that you can get. Even if you want to get something like the tactile knife, the Bear, this one's $299. If you get the non-DLC version, this is Magna Cut. It gets the job done. Okay, so let's just kind of get that out the way out the front. It's $349, but I do believe they justify with some of the features. That's dealer pricing. Of course, the thing might go on sale. Some other things I don't like about it is I wish the fuller, at least on this side, was a little bit fatter and a little bit longer, mainly because it makes it a little bit easier for the thumb flick. I can do the thumb flick. I'm just not like a super expert with this specific fuller. And so every now and again, I miss it. But on the rear, oh, that's all day. I'm getting that all day. No issues whatsoever with the rear. Whether a Spidey flick as well, it's doable. And I know they wanted the fuller to be the same on both sides, but I wish it was a little bit fatter, a little bit longer. That's one thing to think about. And then they do have kind of like to access that lock. They do have like a little bit of carve out there, or whatever the hell you call it. It's accessible, but maybe I don't know, maybe if they could have brought the jipping around, that would be a little bit different. And when you're up on the knife and you're using it a lot, you can feel this titanium or the fat carbon fiber right there. That's right there on the inside near the lock. You can kind of feel that dig into your skin when you're using this for an extended amount of time. So you're cutting through a lot of boxes. You're doing a lot of repetitive tasks, or you're whittling some wood or something like that. You will eventually feel it. Those are some things to think about. This is not a deep carry pocket clip, and it did rear its ugly head in how I used the knife over the last couple of weeks. But that's not a negative for the knife overall. It was a negative for me. It gets deep in your pocket to not be a deep carry because of how they have the actual pocket clip placed on here. But when it came to putting it over cloth bags, putting over shoulder straps of bags, because I was on a beach, I couldn't put this in my swim trunks and jump into the ocean. The pocket clip was an issue, but I get it. This is smooth. This is fat carbon fiber, and you want it to be able to smoothly get into your pocket. It does that all day. Getting onto thicker materials, it was an issue. Those are my negatives. The positives are the list is kind of long. Let's just talk about the knife overall. It's a little bit over 7 inches. It is a Warney style of blade, S90V blade steel for this knife itself. It has a great swedge at the top, which I think looks really good. It has a hollow grind. The sharpening choil is, I think, well done. For somebody that's not good at sharpening knives like I am, it makes me more confident that I'm going to get a lot of sharpening out of this without having to send it back to the manufacturer. I like that a ton. For different utility cuts, it works. I mean, if you want a pinch grip, even if you need to do like a pinch opening on the knife because of how much blade is exposed, you can do that literally with one hand on this knife. So I like how much they expose that for you there. So that's really, really good. Thumb flipper on there, so it's really easy to deploy that way. And although this thing is titanium and carbon fiber, it weighs 2.9 ounces. So the backspacer is for its titanium and it's anodized with that purple. That looks fantastic. I think that looks really good. The pocket clip, that titanium anodized in purple. And then you have the anodization process on the surrounding titanium. Then you have like 3 finger cutout or 3 cutouts or a little bit of CNC machining here, which gives you a little bit of grip, but it also gives aesthetics to the knife on this side, 2 on the other side down here, a bolster lock, T8s all around except for the pivot, which is T10. So this is just a really well designed knife made in China. So if that's something you care about, if you want to go America all the way, this is not for you. You want to go look at something else. But this action on it is just, it's a really, really fun knife to use, fun knife to have in the pocket. And if you're going to an event where you're going to be surrounded by a few thousand young ladies and moms, and you don't want to pull out an aggressive looking tactical knife, that's when this knife shines. Okay, because they still need help cutting stuff. They always have some type of decor or ribbons or bows that get stuck in hair, or they want to cut short a ponytail, or they want you to do some modifications to an award, or they're trying to get a ring out of a box. That still needs to happen. But to pull out a big wampin tactical knife doesn't necessarily always bode well when it comes to certain style of knives. That's why I like to have a gentleman style of knife. That's where this one really, really shines. Jack Wolf did send this out to me for free. They're not paying for this video. They don't even know I'm doing the video right now. And I've had the chance to test this out for quite a while. The unboxing experience was one of the most unique for a knife for me. I know that a lot of folks have shown Jack Wolf knives on YouTube. This is one of the only, I would say, boxes or the barrels that I would keep for a knife, like just to keep it. Like a lot of times I get something from a knife and it's just like, whatever. I may or may not use it. I may or may not keep it. This is not one of those experiences. I like that a lot. It sounds really good. Like, listen to this. Just a really good sound to the knife. So that's something I like. And overall, this thing is a very, very good performer to be a knife that is more of an elegant looking knife. They still got a lot of performance action out of it. I mean, if you need to do a lot of repetitive cuts in fibrous material, like the middle of cardboard, not the tape portion itself, knocks it out. It can cut through rope. It can do all that type of stuff. This is a very good EDC knife. Ergonomics, that they did a contour design on the scales. Look at my hand completely on the scale itself. A little bit extra there, a little bit extra there. I can get up even further on there if I needed to on the knife. A good lockup with this bolster on there. And I'm very impressed what they did with this knife overall when it came to the ergos, when it came to the design. I think it is a head turner. Can I get it in a different blade shape in the future? I could see that. I can definitely see me getting this in a different blade shape that they're making out there for some of their other slip joints. They turn it into a locker. That would be dope. I only have one. I know they make they're making other their knives into bolsters and frame locks, and maybe I'll get my hands on one of those in the future. But if you like the design of this, you're okay with the price, I would say go for it. If you're shopping around for a knife that meets those categories, you know, a premium steel like a S90V or a Magna Cut S45EN or something like that, and you want a premium scales and you don't want to spend a lot, this might not be for you because you probably can find something cheaper. But if you're watching this video because you're interested in the Jack Wolf Purple Haze fat carbon fiber and you want to know what does someone think about it, I like it. Other than those negatives I talked about at the beginning, I don't have a lot of negatives about this knife overall. Now, looking at it next to some other knives just to kind of compare it, like I said before, this is next to a TRM. This is the Neutron 2. You can kind of see where it falls in line there. This is next to a Hogue Deca. So a little bit bigger than a Hogue Deca, still very manageable size for an everyday carry knife. This is next to a PM2, a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So it's smaller than that. So it gets the job done there. It is a little bit bigger than the Bug Out. So if you're used to the Bug Out, it's going to be bigger. It weighs more than the Bug Out, but I still would carry it over the Bug Out in most scenarios. And it's a little bit bigger than the Mini Osborne. So you can kind of see what you're working with if you decide to get this knife. Now, this has kind of become my new favorite premium gentleman knife and it kind of replaces what was my tactile knife company Bear. This was my kind of go-to for that. Only thing I didn't like about this is that it doesn't have a pocket clip and it doesn't lock up. Other than that, I like this knife a ton, and the Jack Wolf kind of replaces that. The thing I like about this is that you can do those aggressive openings. You can use the, you can use the fuller, you can use your thumb, you can use the front flipper, you can do all that. But if you need to be more discreet because you're in an event where you don't want to flick a knife open because that's very aggressive looking, you can just grab it. You can open it slowly. It still works like that. That's what I like about this quite a bit. Why do you want to carry a gentleman style knife? As I mentioned before, Mother's Day, you're going to a brunch, you're dressing nice, maybe don't want to carry a tactical knife with you or traditional looking pocket knife with you. Maybe you don't want to carry a case knife or something from Gerber, but you want something a little bit more premium. Then this might be something for you. Then that's why you might want to have a tool with you, because at the end of the day, a knife is still a tool. I think this knife is for someone that already has a knife. This is for the guy that already owns a knife and he or she is looking to get themselves another knife. This is a Father's Day type of gift. Take a peek and see, does he already own something like this? If he doesn't, I think he's going to like it. Other than those negatives that I mentioned at the very, very beginning. I'm not a knife expert, but I do know what it feels like to use a knife and to like it or to hate it. Comment down below, first time stopping by. Hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.